Yeah, so it gives me pleasure to introduce my colleague Professor Manaswita Bose. She is a faculty member in a new department, relatively new department in IIT Bombay. This is Energy Science and Engineering department. So they were earlier a interdisciplinary program. Now they have a full-fledged department. They have BTech and MTech joint program, PhD program, and it's a department consisting of faculty members from sciences, from all engineering departments. Many people collaborate and work in that department. Professor Manaswita obtained her PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Her primary research area is complex fluids with focus on particulate matter. She also works on solar thermal storage. Her research group, actually a very unique thing about her research group is that she focuses on experiments, simulation, and the theoretical work. So she works on combination of all three. She is going to talk about modeling, mathematical modeling through active learning. Now there is a template which Dr. Mrunal has designed for all of you to prepare your presentations, and she has used that template to prepare her presentation. So this is an example of what what you are supposed to be doing. Okay, so with that brief introduction, I'll hand over to Manaswita.
So, as Professor Patwardhan mentioned in the morning, that our focus is not on the content, but the focus is on how we design the content or how we deliver the content, and that is going to be the focus in this session as well. And Mrunal has suggested a template that we follow that template to design the lecture. I have tried to follow the template and I'll go through this one. I'll take you through that journey. Okay. So the topic is mathematical modeling through an active learning approach. So now before we start planning anything, the question that comes into picture into our mind is, what is the context that we are planning things? Okay. So what we should think about perhaps is, when we start planning a lesson, that which course that we are designing. So now we are talking about mathematical modeling. Perhaps the appropriate course title should be Mathematical Modeling for Energy Engineering Applications. Okay, set it. So the first activity here is course name. Let us decide on a course title. So under that course, we will have to design lecture or lectures, whatever we want to deliver, that may not be delivered in one lecture. We may require more than one lecture. Okay. So course name we are settled now on mathematical modeling in engineering applications. Now what do we mean by mathematical modeling? What do I mean by mathematical modeling? Perhaps describe
the object using equation.
Yes. So describing some physical phenomena using equations, or mapping a physical phenomena on mathematical concepts. So if I use the blackboard here, on one hand we may know some mathematical concept already. That could be some algebraic equation, that could be some differential equation, and here we may have some physical phenomena that is happening. One has to understand what is happening in that and map one onto others. That is what is mathematical modeling. This is what, if I have to write it in a formal way. Now the question is how to teach mathematical modeling, or whether it is possible to teach mathematical modeling. Is it possible? I mean, the question is, I have written down the question, how to teach mathematical modeling, but before I get into this word how, the question is whether it is possible to teach mathematical modeling at all.
No.
the answer could be mixed. It could be no. But if it was no, then I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here. So answer could be yes also. No, true. Because when one is looking at the physical phenomena and trying to interpret it and trying to map onto these mathematical concepts which can be solved, and one has to get the answer, one has to get the solution, then that depends on individual's level of understanding, individual's level of interpretation. So that cannot be taught. However, what can be communicated or taught or not taught, can be trained, a person can be trained, is about the steps, about the approach, about the philosophy. So because of that, we are here, that how do we communicate those philosophy, how do we learn those philosophy, how do we transfer that knowledge, that if we follow these things, if we train our mind to think in this direction, perhaps we can learn to get into mathematical modeling. Then how accurate model we can build in, how one can master in that art, that's an individual's capability. Okay, so now we come to that and we get going with our task. Okay, so now that we have decided on this course name, that okay, we can design a course in course on mathematical modeling in engineering applications. Now that engineering applications is a very broad area, and it could be in your domain. It could be on mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and any other engineering. Then the question comes is, how do we get into topics? So a course has to have several topics, and then topics can be divided into subtopics. So with that we come to today's topic, which is mathematical modeling of extended surface heat exchanger. Now this extended surface heat exchanger is, don't read too much into it at this point of the session today, read it as an example. So essentially what is it that we are trying to discuss now is, it's better if we try to introduce some concept through an example. So this phrase here is not very important here. What is important here is example. Trying to introduce a concept through an example. Okay, so pick up an example. That's what it is. So that is the message that this slide is essentially trying to convey. Now from here we move to this. So once the topic is decided, then one has to say what is the objective. There has to be some objective, some purpose in every action. Otherwise, we will lose motivation. I mean, why am I doing something if I do not know why am I doing that, right? I mean, unless I know that, I wouldn't like to do it. So what is the objective? So the objective is to demonstrate how to build mathematical equation for a process. So I know that example. I have chosen an example for the class, for the lecture or lectures. That example, we may not be able to close entire thing, whatever we are going to discuss, all the activities in one lecture. It may take a couple of lectures. We have chosen that example. Now, in the objective, we have to write down the objective. So the objective is to demonstrate how to build a mathematical equation for a process, and then while doing so, what we can also do is we can introduce relevance of different mathematical concepts. Suppose if we try to introduce a differential equation, one of the methods could be that I just walk in the class, or any of you, we just walk in the class as teachers and start writing an equation, a d2y dx squared plus b dy dx plus cy is equal to 0, and we keep writing the solution and all this. I'm sure to say that half the class will go off to sleep after the first line, rest of the class will go off. Some students will be very much interested to know. But suppose if we pose an example and then ask a question which they can relate to a real life problem, then maybe many of them will remain interested. So that is what is the objective part. Once we are done with the objective part, we move on. We need to give a description. What do we do? So in this lecture, for example, what we will do is we'll demonstrate how to develop a mathematical problem for a physical example. Example we have already discussed, but we'll discuss it later. And this example, which is relevant to engineering applications, and then we will be developing the mathematical models, and then we will be demonstrating the solution techniques. In the process, what we will do is we will introduce at least three different areas of mathematical concepts. All these areas, all these concepts were introduced at the class 2 level. They were developed during the engineering years. Okay, so they will all be connected to one example problem. And during the later part of this session, we will see that we will ask a particular applied question. Okay. Then the next thing they say is you have to list down all the resources, because the students need to know the textbooks or the material where we have taken things from. So we will list down all the resources, and that is what I have done here. Now, this is very important, that the student should have clear idea that what they will learn after going through the lecture or lectures. So for example, before I show this slide, I may go back to the resources slide here, because I do not know how to make it blank, but I may ask a question, like what do you expect to learn after attending this session? Okay. What do you expect to learn after attending this session? Maybe a quick answer. So, the learning objective is something that you expect the student to learn. Okay, not what I want to deliver. Okay, so it's not, see, when it's like you are in the teaching position, then the learning objective, when we write down the learning objective, we need to think what the student is going to learn after attending this session. Okay, so my expectation from this session is, after we go through it, whichever topic you pick up, it need not be a mathematical modeling topic. It could be any other topic. It could be a solution methodology topic, it could be a topic in linear algebra, it could be a topic in any experimental method, it could be anything. Okay, if anyone is from literature, it could be a poetry. However, whatever the topic is, whatever the topic of from your domain expertise is, you should be able to design a lecture where you introduce a concept from example. Now, because, okay, that is my expectation. So, my first overall expectation is design a lecture where a concept is introduced through an example. That the class can connect to. That is the overall learning objective. Now, because this particular lecture is hovering around mathematical modeling, I have written that design a lesson on developing a mathematical model of a physical phenomena through an interactive learning process. So, we develop the process through question answer mode, and then design a lesson to demonstrate the relevance of different mathematical concepts. So, we don't really start talking about linear algebra or differential equation, but show that how it is related to real life problems. That is the expectation, that design the lecture such a way. Okay. So perhaps a 2-minute activity here would be that you pick up any topic that you like the most, any subtopic that you like the most, and imagine that you are preparing a lecture. How would you write one learning objective? Maybe we could take a 1-minute activity here. You could pair up with your, the nearest neighbor. You could do that. You could take this, you could do this activity in the class. You pick up any topic that you are most comfortable with and you write one learning objective and see how will you write. What do you expect your student to learn from that? Okay, so you have written something, you understood now that there is a thought process that is involved, right? I'll tell you what I have written. I didn't write much here. So now we have come here. What have we done? We have decided, while designing something, what we have decided? We have decided a course that we would like to teach. Under that course, we have decided the topic that we would like to teach. Whatever topic we want to teach, we have decided that under that course this topic is most appropriate. And then we have decided in that topic description, this is the description of the topic and this is the objective. This is what I would like to convey through this topic, and I would expect the student to learn this from this topic. We have discussed up to this. This is what has been decided. Now comes, how do we design the delivery? It has to be delivered. Okay. So that we come here. Now the topic that we have chosen here is mathematical modeling in engineering. The course we have chosen here is mathematical modeling in engineering application, and under that we have chosen mathematical modeling of a particular example. Okay. So mathematical modeling of particular example, whatever example you wish to think, you think on that now. Don't limit your thought process to that extended fin that I have written. Don't limit to that. You think of whatever example that comes to your mind. But whatever be the example, see, mathematical modeling has certain activities, right? And if I would think of 3 main activities. What are the activities that you would think of? See, I would think of 3 main activities. One is the first activity is problem formulation. There is a physical phenomena that is happening. One has to observe that physical phenomena, and there is a whole lot of mathematical concept. One has to map this physical phenomena onto this mathematical concepts. That is the problem formulation stage, right? Now, once this formulation is done, equations are written, then comes the second activity. Whatever equations are written, they need to be solved, right? The third one is, after you have solved everything, whatever objective you had set, see, you started that activity, we started that activity of modeling having some objective in mind with some motivation. So after we have solved those equations, we need to go back and see whether that objective has been fulfilled or not. So that is closing the problem, closing with whatever objective statement for this particular problem we have written. So that completes the whole activity list, right? So that has to be delivered through this lecture or lectures, because that is the topic we have chosen. So now, is that right, or is there any other activity that we can think of? Perhaps when you design your course, you can think of this is what I could think of. So problem formulation has these sub activities. See, we have to motivate the student. Like, why am I doing it? See, there has to be some motivation, some connection. Then there has to be very clear objective. This is why I need to do it. And after going through all these things, this is what I will get, a very specific objective. Then task list. We need to do all these things. Identification of the physical process, assumption, simplification, derivation of the final form, and we will demonstrate all these things. Then there could be several methods of solving the problem. Actually solving the problem. After we got the solution, how do we know that this is the correct solution? This is the convert solution. We need to check all these things and then determination. So one has to plan these activities and if possible, plan these activities in an interactive manner. So now let us start. Okay. Now comes the actual part. How do I deliver this? So what is mathematical modeling of the example? Let us say the example for today's lecture, extended surface heat exchanger. So you need to, now we need to define that and motivate that. How do we define or motivate? What could be various ways of motivating the student? Right? So perhaps we could show something, some pieces like this. We can ask students to identify these parts, right? You know, where is it taken from? Maybe we can ask questions like this. This is taken from a computer, CPU. You know what this one is? These are all extended surface. These are electronic coolers. These are used for electronic device cooling. Something also has some circuit attached to it. Okay. So maybe this is one way of motivating students that look, these things are not just pictures in Google or textbook. These are there in real life. One could if one can carry heavy things, one can carry some engineers also. Okay, they're there. Then we can show some images that there are variety of shapes here, right? So the definition of extended surface is which is protruding from the main body. So one can define that it is protruding from the main body, and there are variety of shapes. Okay. One could take example from nature. Yeah? Yeah? Yes? Have you ever wondered why elephants have such big ears? Hmm? Right? So that could be what that example can be given. So applications. Variety of applications one could write, one could list. So this could be one of the ways to introduce a problem. Okay. This is the motivation part. I just write, statements like, broad statements. We don't see, nothing is very specific here. It's very broad statements. And they all exist in different applications and things like that. Now we have to come to very specific problem. Now I have taken this particular problem. And now see, if I pick up a particular textbook, and the textbook would read a problem statement like this. Okay, temperature distribution in a transverse plane of triangular section. So this is essentially, you could figure out now after looking at all these things that this section that you get to see, this is a fin, right? A simple textbook, a problem would read like this. The question we ask ourselves while designing a lecture: how does it really relate to real life problem? I mean, why should I even be interested to know what is the temperature distribution inside this extended surface? See, if I were sitting here and that too just immediately after lunch, I would say, I don't want to do all this. But then the question comes, how do we pose this problem? There is a reason why I need to know, right? And what is the reason? What is the reason? Why I need to know? Reason? Huh? Because? True. So for that, I mean, I know we have now convinced ourselves that we need extended surface heat transfer, extended surface heat exchanger, because if I have extended surface heat exchanger, the surface area increases, heat transfer increases, so it increases the cooling rate perhaps. And that's what we have shown, and you can see that. But those are all broad statements. But then the next slide, I'm giving a textbook example exercise. Determine the temperature distribution in a transverse stream of triangular section. But why do I need to get into this temperature distribution? Through that, I can that. So a very specific statement here is so yes, right. But something more specific in a more
like physical process to convert to design the physical process into
yes
mathematical modeling, like convert that physical thing into
relate the physical phenomena to the mathematical.
right. You all are very close, but something, see, the very specific point here, we are stating the objective here. So I give you a device like this. Okay, forget about the triangular section and all. I give a device like this, and if the question that is asked, what is the efficiency of this device? Before I even get into the mathematical, yes. So see, suppose, I mean, I don't really get into, I really don't need to get into an academic exercise, but if I give this device to somebody, the question that comes into picture is, I need to cool things. What is going to be the performance of it? What is going to be the efficiency of it? And now, from an intuitive mind, just purely intuition, because before getting into any maths or anything, one would say that if this entire thing was at the highest temperature, maximum temperature, which is the body temperature, T max, heat transfer would be maximum, because heat is going out, heat goes from the hot temperature to the cold temperature, right? So if all the fins were uniformly at the T max body temperature, that would be when the heat transfer, the cooling, that would be when you achieve the maximum cooling. However, that is not the case. There is temperature profile inside the fin. So the practical question that is being asked now, the practical question that is being asked now here is, what is the efficiency of a device like this, right, that you could relate to know that efficiency, one needs to know that efficiency, one needs to get into the temperature distribution. So you see, you are doing the same task. You are getting into the temperature distribution, but you are just placing it in a different way. You are asking the questions in a different way and perhaps generating interest. Okay. So with that, we define the efficiency. Is that how we define efficiency? Is this how we define efficiency? Suppose we take a film. Now we start asking questions. How is heat getting dissipated, or how is heat getting transferred from the film to the surrounding? It's a convection. So heat is getting dissipated from the film to the surrounding through convection. This is the actual heat transfer. This could be the ideal heat transfer if the entire film was at T base. So the ratio of this is the efficiency. Now it becomes very apparent why one needs to know the temperature profile inside the film. Okay, so that is how we like to pose the problem. Okay, the same problem, same textbook problem, just that we are posing in a different way. Right? Okay, so what I have said is that, this is just one filler slide that we have introduced integration here. So now comes the task list. So objective is clearly stated what I have to do. So the example, a real life example is introduced. The objective is stated, which is very close to which is a real life question, that what is the efficiency of this particular device. The next is the task list. What is to be obtained? What approach is to be taken? And then mapping on the mathematical concept. So, what is to be obtained now? We know T as a function of position. What approach is to be taken? Of course, if I consider the entire film to be one thing, it is not going to give us T as a function of position. So I have to take a differential approach. And now we have ODEs and PDEs. Here comes the simplification. So far as possible, we wouldn't like to get into PDEs, and that too, if you have to solve a problem in a class, we may take 3 or 4 lectures, but still, if we want to solve a problem in a class, we may not like to get into PDEs. Okay, the next slide. Can we make some assumptions so that an ODE can be formed? Can we get into simplification? Now let us look at the physical process. Okay, what we know and where do we want to get to? What do we know? We know that we have, some part is cut here. We know that we can have an ordinary differential equation like this. Heat transfer process, the process is heat transfer. So we know most likely the equation is going to be a second order differential equation. So this particular problem has to be mapped onto, most likely this particular problem has to be mapped onto an equation which looks like this, right? Cooling of body, heat transfer from the hotter body to the cooler part and surrounding. So what is the governing equation? Identification of governing equation is conservation of heat. What assumptions we are going to make here? No, that question has to come into picture. Are we going to consider time dependence? Yes. Then can we get into an ordinary differential equation if we consider time dependence? Then there will be 2 variables. Okay. Then what do we do? We will consider steady state. What would be our justification to consider steady state? Yes, right. That is the meaning of steady state, that the temperature is not a function of time. But what would be our justification for that? See, the justification comes from our objective. Our objective was performance, efficiency, which is like a time averaged, time integrated concept. So, what we are saying here is that, okay, it may be initially it may be a time dependent phenomena, but if we wait for long, it will reach a steady state. So, I'm going to wait for long till it reaches steady state, and there is no generation within the fin, there is no accumulation of, there is no reason, I cannot think of a physical reason why there should be an accumulation within the fin. So, it is not too bad an assumption to consider it the process to be in steady state. The pipe is maintained, that body is maintained at constant temperature, and there is a constant rate of heat out. So, we take that justification. Okay, it's a long time phenomenon that you are looking at. The second assumption that one has to look at it, see, this x that we have considered here is a one-dimensional variable. Okay. Now, if we consider T, temperature, as a function of r, theta and axial position all, again we will get into a partial differential equation. Now comes the geometry into picture. Next question that we should pose perhaps to the students, that do we really need to get into that? Okay, perhaps no. And why no? We can ask the student to, here we can ask the student to reason out why no. Right? So what we can intrigue here is, we can show the geometry and we can ask them to analyze the geometry. So what kind of geometry we get to see here? There is an axisymmetry here. So variation in the theta direction can be neglected. Right? And this body, we have assumed the body to be at constant temperature. So variation in the axial direction, so far as the pipe is concerned, that is also considered to be neglected. That is also neglected. Then what is left here? Only in the radial direction. Right. So here geometry becomes very important. And so that is where, this is not a textbook. See, what I wanted to tell you here is, this is not a textbook image. This image has been drawn just for the class. Textbook image won't give this idea, this clarity, that one could actually immediately write this equation as a one-dimensional equation. So, what is the take-home message from here? Not these assumptions, because that is your domain expertise. What is the take-home message from here is, draw images, draw figures, so that students get the idea and they get the geometry very clearly, so that they themselves can appreciate the assumptions. Otherwise, what happens? Oh, some random assumptions lete hain. People make random assumptions, so we should not get into that. Now, what happens? The other assumptions, of course, we have made here is constant thermophysical properties. What is the justification behind this constant thermophysical properties? What justification we can make? No, constant thermophysical properties meaning Cp, K, they all are independent of temperature. Okay. So that is, one has to show here through calculations, numerical calculations, that the range of temperature we are dealing with in the problem, Cp does not change too much, K does not change too much, so the assumptions are justified. That numerical calculation can be a part of in-class activity. Now with that, the problem can be simplified. So at steady state one can write down the governing equation that rate of heat in is equal to rate of heat out, and we can form these equations. Now we can form these equations. Okay. Should we take about 2 minutes to try to form these equations? Should we try to see how these equations are formed? Okay. Rate in and rate out. Should we spend 2 minutes to see how these equations are written? So this is known as a shell balance approach. We have taken a differential control volume here, delta x, and heat is moving from the body toward the tip, and heat is moving out from the surface to the surrounding, right? There is one interesting point here, if you have noticed. Where should we place the origin?
In the axis.
Where should we place the origin, here or here? Should we place the origin here on this, on the axis of the pipe, or should we place it here? I give 1 minute and you can do a think pair activity. You have two choices.
Ma'am, because we can extend the tip whatever length may be, that is why we have to put origin at the central axis.
Okay. Origin. At the axis, at the tip. Let us do this. Let us take this activity. At the axis, majority. Huh? At the tip. Okay. Now what? We have a hung house, or there is a clear majority, or what do we have? A hung house? Okay, fine. So those who are saying at the axis, what is your justification? Maximum temperature at the axis. Okay. And is there any other justification?
But how will explain that if it is like maximum temperature, then what is it like? What is the justification? Maximum temperature, it's okay, but why we have chosen the origin there?
Acha, that is okay. That is okay. We'll see. This is also a circular disc. Huh? Imagine this is a circular disc. Only the thickness is changing. See, look at. See, all of you have it in your Moodle. The slide is cut. The picture is cut here. But look at the slide in your Moodle. So this is a disc. This one is only the thickness is tapered. Okay. So where should we take the origin? At the tip or at the origin? At the tip. At the tip, what is the justification?
If the boundary condition is
See, it is at the tip. It is easy to take at the tip. The reason is this: if you take it at the axis, there is no harm. But you realize that from the tip to this, to the pipe wall, there is no use of this domain, because temperature remains constant there. You are not actually, that is not the part of your domain. That is not the part of your problem. Part of your problem is, the problem that you are analyzing here is essentially your domain is essentially this part. That is why you are taking it at the tip. So, it's here, this is x. Okay, this is x is equal to 0. Fine. So, again, what is important here is, more than this particular problem, what is important here is, design these small in-class activities where you feel that this particular concept or that thing could generate some discussion in the class. Okay, that is what is important. Not this particular discussion, but this activity that we stopped it, we discussed something, that is more important. Okay. Now, once we have done this, you could see that then so we have taken this control volume. Now heat goes in from here. This point is x plus delta x, and this point is x. So heat is going in from here, going out from here, and going out from this side. Realize that this thickness is much smaller compared to the surface area, up and down surface area. So you have neglected, you have made yet another assumption, you have neglected the heat from the side, heat from the edges. Heat loss from the edges, not heat loss from the edges. Okay, and that's what essentially gave you the rate in and rate out. Okay, fine. When you have balanced them, rate in is equal to rate out, and some algebra which is detailed, let's not worry too much about it. You essentially get the governing equation. The next thing is boundary conditions. What is known to you? What is known to you? The boundary conditions. Again, let us take one minute or half a minute here. What is known to you? Surrounding temperature is known to you, but is surrounding a part of your boundary? No. So, what is the part of your boundary now? Tip and, so tip is your boundary and surface of the pipe is your boundary. So, what is known to you? Temperature at the surface is known to you, and at the tip what is known to you?
X.
Huh? Okay, now another quiz. At the tip, is it ambient temperature? Yes. Huh? So, let us write this. T x is equal to 0. TA T x is equal to 0. I don't know. What is it? T x is equal to A. Ambient temperature? Yes. So, you do not know. However, what you know here, however, what is known here is, it has to, surface temperature is not known a priori. One has to solve to know surface temperature. So, what is known here a priori is, it has to be finite. So, See, T has, the temperature at the surface has to be finite.
Can you not measure the
That you have to measure. Suppose somebody did not give you that measurement. Right. So mathematically you can only say that is finite. What does it mean? Tx. It essentially tells you that Tx cannot have a term like lnx, stuff like that. Tx cannot have a term like a by x, things like that. That's all. So if Tx has a term like, lnx, you will put the coefficient of that to 0. If Tx has a term like a by x, you will put that coefficient to be 0. You only know that. You do not know anything else. That's all. Now that is how you set the boundary condition. Again, these are the things that when you have, the moment where you feel that there could be some interesting discussion, just start that activity inside in the class. That is what it is. Now the question is, we have done all these things, but what is it that we ended? Are we very happy? No. Right? We are not at all happy. 6 parameters. Who wants to work with this system? What do we do next? Reduce the parameter. How do we reduce the parameter? No, now we don't take any assumption.
Clubbing
Huh?
I think clubbing the
Now we don't. How do we club the parameters? Acha, now I will give you one clue. See, we have written this equation. All of them are dimensional. So you have to worry about k dimensions of k, consistency of the dimensions of k, h, b, a, all these things, right? You know, you have defined b in centimeter, a in millimeter, k in watt, h in kilowatt. You are in soup. What is it that you should do now? Scale them, non-dimensionalize it. Is it possible? It is, it is. So if you scale them, simple. Your life has become very simple now. This is a purely mathematical equation, and this is yet another activity that you can introduce in the class. That you know, we had a physical problem in hand. We started with a device, cooling device. We started with a very practical question. We wanted to know the efficiency of that particular device. So we wrote the physical description of it. We wrote the energy conservation, heat conservation equation, heat energy conservation equation. We ended up with an equation like this, but we want a simple mathematical equation. How do I get into that? Simple. The domain is only this much. You know this dimension is b, right? Your boundary condition, you have something here as a. So what you can do is, you can divide, you can transform it, and you can write theta as Is that fine? See, what is the maximum temperature difference that is possible inside the system? T max, that is temperature of this body, that is T max minus T ambient. So T minus T ambient divided by T max minus T ambient, that can be theta. and x by b can be your zeta or xi, zeta. So your equation becomes a purely mathematical equation, abstract mathematical equation. You have only one parameter kappa here. Okay, this can be one in-class activity. Would you like to spend a minute or two and try to do that? Whether you end up getting this? You will get, it is very straightforward to get into that. Okay. Boundary conditions need to be accordingly changed. Now this is your equation you have come here. What would you do next? Solve. How would you solve? How do you solve? How would you solve? So perhaps up to this can be an activity in one class. Okay. In one class you cannot go anything more than that, because I think we are already saturated. We cannot go more than that in one class. When you plan your lecture, you have to time it accordingly, because there is a saturation limit. So the solution of this can be planned for next lecture. How can we solve that? Here all that I am going to say is my second thing that I have come up to this. We have introduced two things. You can solve using two different methods, and that is pointed to future lecture. Those who would like to go numerical way, you could get into the numerical methods. You can get into finite difference method. Those who like analytical solution, you can introduce to the polynomial series in your next lecture onwards. Polynomial. That is because you can truncate, you will truncate the series, and depending on where you truncate, it is always an approximate, right? Okay, so this is your pointer to the next lecture, or maybe next lectures, right? However, after you are done through your solution method, you should not forget where you started with, the question that you have asked, because that is what will keep the students motivated for your next topic. Once you have done your solution method and all these things, you should get a profile like this, and that you can intuitively think of. I'm skipping on the solution method because that I have said that this is your next lecture plan, but intuitively you see you should get things like that. At x is equal to 0, you should have lowest temperature, right? And at x at the surface, you should get the highest temperature. And once the temperature profile is obtained, you should remind them that this was the question that you started with. Okay, in between, perhaps either you have delivered some lecture so that you could solve the problem, or you could give them some codes that you have written, and they could run those code and get the result, whatever. Or you could take a simpler problem where you had a simple solution, whatever. But you should remind them that this is where they started with the definition of efficiency, and you generate the efficiency as a function of k. If we did this in class activity, you would have got your k as hb by k sin alpha. These are all physical parameters given in for different A by B ratios. Once you know, you could map and you could get the efficiency. You should remind them of the original objective and close a problem. This is a, I mean, you should not, I mean, this is one of the, this is a way where we stop. Okay. Now this could be one of the activities when you plan to give them an take home assignment. How do we plan assessment? You know that Dr. Milal must have told you about formative assessment and summative assessment, right? Okay, so formative assessment is something that we have been doing in class, that we are asking questions and discussing and things like that. Summative assessment is when you write down the assessment, when you write down the questions to assess the student. Okay, so this could be some subtle questions that you write, assess so that you rate the student. Now that could be of different kinds. One could be like, when we give them take home assignment, they have to write some code, they have to generate this kind of graphs, things like that. Or it could be exam problems. Exam problems cannot be open-ended. So one to form questions like open-ended questions, where suppose one example problem is discussed in class and it is how the modeling is developed is demonstrated, and another example problem is posed, or another set of example problems are posed for which they themselves can develop models. That is assignment kind of problem. The other is close-ended problem, the problems that are discussed in class. We take some numerical values and ask them to solve those simple problems which can be graded, which can be solved in a stipulated time and which can be graded also without any confusion. Open-ended problems can have multiple solutions. With that, we come to the end of this session, and I hope that whatever we discussed, it will help you in design your lectures in a different way. Thanks. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, any comments, anything, we can discuss. We have about 5 minutes time.
How will you manage all this? Showing images and all.
See, if we have just a blackboard and nothing else, then the way I would like to do is, prior to coming to the class, I would circulate it. Okay. Huh.
None of the students, out of 80, only one student used to come up that, okay, sir, I have seen your lectures, that what you are going to teach, I have seen the images and all. And rest 79 was purely blank, and my entire hard work goes to this.
And what about like giving them the, so if your college has this facility that you can take the printouts. So if you you don't have that. Huh? So your college does not have the.
Just the blackboard.
Okay. So see,
Each of us faculty was given a particular faculty profile. Like this is your like every day you can upload on the documents on that website. So I used to upload at least 3-4 days before the particular lecture. I used to upload the notes and used to constantly remind the students on WhatsApp that you have to see that lecture before coming to class.
So maybe as you know, Sachin mentioned in the morning, Professor Patwardhan, that don't try to deliver the entire lecture through this mode, but only one small topic perhaps which you yourself can grade. Is that possibility? I mean, does that possibility exist? That I mean, what is your grading system? Can you grade? So there is no internal grading or something.
We can give assignments, weekly assignments about that. We can create.
So maybe one topic. Don't try to do it for the entire semester, because that may not work at all, and the way the kind of constraints that you have. So you will. So you try with one topic perhaps, and don't take examples like this where you will require coding and all these things. But take examples where you can solve it in class, like for I do not know which course you teach, but whichever course you teach, you take example problem which can be solved in class, okay, and then one topic you do on blackboard itself, but do this in class activity, and then on that in class activity try to grade if possible.
In-class activity, one possibility was only there when the topic was either presented to the students in previous semesters. Like I particularly dealt with 8 semester students. There I was teaching foundation engineering. So the students have been familiar with all the designing and all the things, concepts related to it in the 5th and 6th semester. So it was comfortable for me that I can give assignments to the students in class. I can provide questions in class, and there we can discuss like active learning. That I have tried with this, but eventually we have to read the notes which are circulating from the class, and the efficiency of students, that how many students are reading the notes actually before the class is very, very good. So that's the issue, and the problem is that projectors and all like facilities are available at IIT, they are not available for state functions. Just a blackboard is available. That's why I was asking that.
So see, many times.
Even came up with the idea that we created a WhatsApp group for entire faculty. So there I used to circulate the images and notes directly just half an hour before the class. That's okay, at least now you will see. I used to give 5 minutes in the class that okay, now you just see, then we'll discuss. So that's how we have to work.
You asked question from the very less number of people there, but we have 150.
No, so large class has different challenges altogether. So when we have 100 and more students, then we take different approaches altogether. So what I did this semester when I had large class, I used to take frequent quizzes, okay, and now again if you have this. But objective type I never. And the other thing is what you could try, perhaps if your students agree, but it depends on whether your students will agree or not. There are at least as of now there are free software. So there are free software where these are mobile app based software. So if the students have mobile, they would like to use mobile phone in class nowadays, and I do not know whether college allows or not. So what you can do is you can get them registered on those software, one of them is academy.com, and I think Professor Bhaskar will give you a talk on Bodhi tree or something. Those are all I think app based software. They
And
can
also on Moodle we can generate.
Moodle is not mobile based.
It is
Mobile is also mobile based. Okay, so you can get them registered and you can do online quizzes, so you don't have to really spend time there. Okay, so all you have to do is there comes this pre-class thought process, pre-class design. You design your questions such a way they need not be MCQ, they can be objective type. But suppose if you design say for this particular problem, okay, you ask them to come up with a k value for given h, b, k and alpha, right? So they will come with some number. Now you have to correct it, right? You won't correct it. Your app will correct, but you have to preset the value. How will you preset the value? Because if it goes wrong, this is binary marking, 0 or 1 or 0 or 2, whatever. So you look at the truncation at each thing. Suppose if they truncated it here at 1 decimal point or 2 decimal point, what answer they would have got? If they truncated here, what answer they would have got? That is how you get a range k less than some k maximum and greater than some k minimum. And then you design your quiz. Okay, so take in-class quizzes based on these mobile apps and I mean, somewhere you have to do something that, you know, you will either deregister your students from the exam or something unless they register to the software. Then you do it and then they will come on board.
My question is how to get answer from in-class answers, like you.
Mobile.
No, ma'am, not for quiz. Ma'am, you just
In
asked
class karo na. I mean, do it in class. See, there's this one question suppose I ask. Okay, so see here, because it is not a proper class, I am not going to grade anybody here, right? So I did not design it that way. Suppose you want to design that way, this is that, you know, summative assessment. So what you could do is, suppose if you are giving yours is say 1 hour lecture. So 1 hour lecture, you think of something like 15 minutes and 15 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes, 17 minutes like that. Okay, after 17 minutes, you fire a quiz based on what you have taught in that 17 minutes. Okay, you fire a quiz, you give them 2 minutes time on mobile. They may discuss, you don't worry whether they are discussing with the partner or the person sitting next to them or whatever, or you yourself can encourage them to do so, because your objective there is to make sure that whether they are learning or not, right? So you give them 2 minutes time to respond on mobile. When they are responding, you get to see that they are responding. Okay, if they respond, they are being graded anyway. You are not doing anything. There may be one question where most of the class could not answer. You revisit that concept and move on. Like that you do. So you get into this mobile because you have a large class. For large class, this app-based things are going to help you. These app-based things are going to help you. So check Moodle-based things, check these other things, that will help you. That will actually keep, you don't really, and then in that case what will happen is you will be able to bring those people on board, those shy people on board who actually are participating, who understand things, but they're shy, they know the answer, but they're shy, they're not participating. They will also participate. So that is going to work. And then you really are not dependent on your college's infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that you can do, like, you break down your things into different. So when you do this activity plan, like, how you plan your delivery, that time you plan like this. Okay. Any other question? Okay. So if there is no other question, then we can discuss now, and I think you have to go to, there is a tea break, and then after that you have to go to